Hi, here we are again with the Richard and Judy Book Club, exclusive to W.H. Smith. And the book we're talking about now is this one. It's called Left Neglected, and it's written by Lisa Genova. And basically it's the story of how a very busy, fairly typical American family, where both parents are working incredibly hard. The woman concerned, the heroine, if you like, of the story, Sarah, because her attention's all over the place, has an accident, a terrible road accident, because with a split second of lack of attention, and ends up with a traumatic brain injury, which hugely alters her life. And Lisa Genova's here now. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a great analogy, isn't it? The kind of family that everybody's doing everything, and you know, some worries about the kids, and there's sort of everybody's so busy and thinking about money, and yet really there's no pause to sort of think and reflect and act in a kind of laid back way. So they're not really enjoying it, are they?
No, this sort of need to be it all, have it all, do it all, the to-do list that's a mile long, being plugged in all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's very common to live this sort of distracted life these days.
Yeah, right.
I think when the accident actually happens, it's a classic case, she's on the mobile phone.
Right.
She's looking down and texting and stuff, and she's actually doing that because for once she's got a bit of time. She's driving to work, and she's ahead of herself for once. She's thinking, great, I can drive and I can do some work
I can make a quick call on the way.
Just a quick call.
And how many people do you see on the road who are using their cell phone, not paying attention to the road? So the book is very much about you know, what we pay attention to and what we don't pay attention to.
Well, anyway,
yes, it is, and that basically the condition which she's left with, this brain injury, is very much like that. It's actually because she loses. Well, you tell me about it. It's a condition called left neglected, which is the title of the book. You are a qualified neuroscientist, and you're obviously fascinated by how the brain works. So what happens to Sarah?
Yeah, so left neglect, it's a neurological condition caused by damage to the right side of your brain, usually following something like a stroke or a hemorrhage or a traumatic brain injury. So in her case, it's the car accident and the conk to the head, in which your brain no longer understands the concept of left. It ignores everything on the left side of everything, often including the left side of you. So if you have this, your eyes still work, your vision is intact, and you're not paralyzed on the left. You could actually move your left arm and leg if only you really believed they belonged to you. So if you have this, you would eat food only on the right side of your plate and think you've finished your meal. You would have put makeup on the right side of your face and think you looked fabulous and came here with half your face undone.
Yeah.
You would have shaved the right side, have a full beard on the left, and be completely unaware of it.
So what would happen then if somebody has that condition and I then hold up a mirror to them and say, what do you see? What do they see?
It's this, the mirror doesn't flip, so the right side of you is still on the right side facing you. Yeah. It's more if you looked at a picture of yourself where the right side of you is now on the left, and the left is on the right, where you might see something that you weren't aware of before.
So if, for example, then, and this happens in the book, I'm left neglected, I have no sense of that side of me, and somebody comes into the room and walks there, they no longer exist for me.
No, your brain chooses to ignore everything on the left, so they're not there anymore.
What if they speak? What if they say, Richard, I'm over here?
Well, auditory stuff is a little different because it travels throughout the room. So I'd still hear you, but I'd have no sense of where
are you?
Where are you? I can hear you, but I can't see you. Where'd you go?
But if you somehow reminded yourself to turn to the left.
Well, this is part of what rehabilitation teaches people to do.
Right.
So this part of your brain that's responsible for paying attention to things in space is broken. And so you need to teach another part of your brain that isn't broken to first be aware, hey, there's a left side.
Right.
And then go look for it, go find it, where is it?
Yeah.
It's a strange thing for people to learn to do who have this. One guy I met who has it says, I understand there's a left, but I don't know how to look for it. It's as if I told you, tell me what's on the back of your head.
Yeah.
You know you have a back of your head, but it's not a place you can look at.
No.
Yeah.
And at one point in the book, I describe it as Sarah says to her husband says, Sarah, why can't you just turn your head to the left?
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm over here, I'm standing to your left, turn your head. And she turns to the right, and he says, the other way. And she says, there is no other way. And she says, it would be like me saying to you, tell me everything you see in this room. And so he does. If you look around, tell me everything you see. And she says, okay, is that everything here? And if he says yes. And then she says, okay, now what if I told you that everything you see is only half of everything that's really in here? Go ahead and turn your head and look at the other half. Where would you look? That's what it feels like.
Yeah. But nevertheless, and this is again the way you write your books. Nevertheless, actually, this terrible sounding condition does actually make Sarah's life better. She changes because of it, and because she changes, the whole family changes.
Right, it's an opportunity for her to shift the way she'd been living. So she'd been living this very autopilot, I've got to be busy, I've got to achieve, I've got to succeed, my family needs the best of everything, going 1,000,000 miles an hour, and now all of a sudden everything stops. All those rapidly moving overscheduled parts stop, and she has to focus on one thing at a time instead of juggling 5 now, and the only thing she needs to focus on at first is find the left.
Yeah.
And in slowing down, she has the opportunity to sort of really make a conscious decision about how she wants to live and what really matters to her and her family, rather than sort of caught up in all of this, I need what society tells me I need to be successful.
It's a real metaphor for modern life, it really is.
And obviously the family's income suffers, but actually because they're quite, and this is...
Don't give it away.
What
the plot, the end of it.
I'm not.
Oh,
no,
right, okay.
Because they're that was their main kind of motivation, income, making money all the time. They're both highly paid. You'd think that would be an absolute tragedy for them, but it's not. It becomes almost an irrelevance in the end because of this condition. Have you seen that kind of thing happen? Because obviously you've got a lot of experience in this, and I know that you've got a lot of interest in Alzheimer's as well and dementia. And in fact, your last book, Still Alice, was about a woman who is struck down by early onset Alzheimer's, and you make the point that she's still Alice. But I mean, have you actually seen the people who have somehow profited from brain injuries like this, whose lives are better?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's tricky, right? Because there are gains and losses that sort of coexist in these people.
Yeah.
So these sort of surviving these life-threatening conditions like something with a traumatic brain injury and left neglect give people an opportunity to have a second chance at living. And they sort of learn to strip away all those things that really didn't matter. In Sarah's case, they were stretched so thin, trying to live a certain way, and they really didn't need all that extra stuff.
No.
So she learned to sort of live simpler and deeper, and it was a sort of a more fulfilled life, even though she had a condition that she was probably going to have to live with for the rest of her life.
And it reconnects her to people. It reconnects her to her mother, to whom she's been virtually estranged for years, and her mother now comes back and is there for her. There's a brutal scene. I don't think it's giving much away to say this. There's a brutal scene where she's doing well, she's in recovery, but she's got a long way to go, and she gets a call from the office to say, are you ready to come back? Want to come back for a meeting? We'll talk about it. And she can't even get dressed by herself. So her mother gets her looking great and gets her dressed and drives her to the office and then leaves her. And she goes in and she manages to put up a good front. But that's the moment she realises she can't do this anymore. And she doesn't want to do it anymore. She's free of it at last. That monkey's been taken off her back by the accident. It's a great scene.
Thank you.
Very, very good scene. I really enjoyed reading that.
It's a really interesting book. We really loved it. Thank you very much indeed, Lisa.
And if you want to find out more about the author, about the book, and all the other books in the Richard and Judy Book Club, you simply go to whsmith.co.uk/Richard and Judy. Thanks for being here.